because look at how much damage he takes for doing supers and spark. He doesn't. In the Season 3.5 patch, a ton of characters got some really, really good buffs, and Tien is definitely one of the best examples of that. We already talked about Master Roshi, we already talked about Blue Vegeta, but I wanted to talk about Tien because his buffs are actually pretty massive. I know he hasn't been the most exciting character for a lot of people to play, but I think that's totally fine. Tien has always had a pretty simple strength about him, where his normals are pretty good, like his cross-up has always been really decent. He has a beam, he technically has a Ki Blast, his normals are fine, his assist is really good, his damage output is pretty good. But it's always seemed to a lot of people that he was missing something. He didn't have anything that was truly super cheap. And the quality of life for his tools hasn't quite been up to par with a character like Bardock, who's always been known for having really, really good quality of life. We might be running into a lot of Tiens pretty soon, and in this video I want to talk about why, and I want to show you what he can do now so you can either get excited about playing him yourself, or you can be ready when you run into one online. He got a lot of changes this version, and we're going to start by talking about his insane quality of life buffs. Now, what do I mean by quality of life? I mean, yes, he's had all of these tools in the past, but in the past, they wouldn't always work as intended, or you needed to be really specific with the situation where you use them in. Things like his jump light were never considered super good. And when you look at it, it doesn't seem super amazing even right now. But watch this. It just hits super dash now, free. Tien used to have such a hard time sniping super dash at all, where you'd end up feeling like you had to do stuff like hit jump M, but if you hit the super dash with jump M, it was like, well, now I can't launch because they're too far away, and it's just a little bit harder, so you had to do hard stuff like hit jump M, double jump, and then pick up the combo, and then you could launch. And not having to do that anymore is so nice. This new jump L buff is so big and so good for this. This was a huge glaring fault with his neutral, in my opinion, in the past, and now that that's no longer a problem, I think that's awesome. Also, his Ki Blasts are way faster than they used to be. This was a common complaint with Tien players in the past, where his Ki Blasts just weren't fast enough and weren't quite useful enough to be used in the way that, like, Goku or really any other character would be using theirs. So now on his jump Ki Blast, he actually stops his momentum immediately when he goes for them, which is really good for adjusting his momentum in the air, and it's really fast. On the ground, it's also really quick. Actually, in the air and on the ground, it combos into Dodon Ray now, which is just super good. I want to talk about that Dodon Ray buff in like 1 minute, but there's one more thing I really want to talk about as far as his quality of life buffs are concerned, and that's his crouch medium. This move, for starters, is a lot farther than it used to be. I don't really care about that. I care about the second change to it, which is it is much more active than it used to be. It has a lot more active frames on it, which makes it much easier to combo with. In the past, whenever Tien would vanish and try to combo into 2M, you'd have to time it perfectly because it had like no active frames at all. It had like just a few. So you had to perfectly time this crouch medium at like the very perfect time. And even probably at the time, the best Tien player in the world was Apology Man. Never really went for this. He'd always just dash up and hit 5M, because the inconsistency of having the 2M whiff and then drop the combo and then maybe give up a kill on the opponent was such a problem. But now this crouch medium is so active that the combo just never drops. Even if you hit it too early, it's still going to be active. I'm going to try and drop it here. I can't drop it. It's so active. Even when I hit it too early, the opponent's still going to land on it afterwards, and you're going to be able to pick up the combo from there. I love this change. This is a really nice change for this character. Okay, but what about that Dodon Ray buff I just mentioned? In the past, Dodon Ray would not move while you're doing it. This is pretty typical for beams, right? If you do a beam or Kamehameha, your character stops their momentum and then has to fall down to the ground. The only character that has been able to keep their momentum while shooting a beam in the past was Krillin. And now the other character is Tien. So if you just hit Dodon Ray in the air, he will continue to fall and he'll have a sweeping beam as he's falling down to the ground. And this is just really, really hard to deal with, especially since this is a true block string into Vanish. This is a good way to get in and start your turn. It's really easy to confirm on reaction into a combo if you do something like Ki Blast into Dodon Ray, which just works. It just combos now. He even keeps his momentum while moving backwards. So you can have a retreating, sweeping beam that combos into Vanish on hit or true block strings into Vanish on block. I've already fought some Tiens online, and let me tell you, this is a little bit annoying to deal with. It's really, really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can do stuff like retreat with a beam and then call your assist. On hit, you're going to get a combo, and on block, you're going to be able to get your turn started. And depending on the assist that you use, you're going to have a pretty easy time converting this, I think. Also, another thing about Dodon Ray is that it is actually safe on block. It's only -5, which means it's actually not that bad. When you call your assist and get your turn started, you're going to be more plus than you probably would have thought you'd been. Also, another thing about this Dodon Ray in the air is it can actually be more safe than on the ground. It's only -1 from what we're testing right now, which just means it's really, really going to be easy to immediately convert with an assist and run up and get your turn started. There isn't going to be so much recovery that it's going to be difficult to do that. And if it ever happens to hit an opponent in the air, it's actually going to be plus on block. So between all these things, Tien's quality of life has just improved drastically. But there's a little bit more that we have to talk about, and that is the changes to his supers. I think in the past, Tien being in the anchor position has been pretty common because his Dodon Ray assist is so good. It's so easy to convert with, it's so good in neutral. This has probably been his most common place to put him, and a common complaint has been that if we put him in the anchor position, that means he's in a position where he's going to be all by himself, and when he needs a dump meter to kill a character, right? Let's just do a lazy combo, and we level 3, he's going to take all this damage, and if he doesn't have the meter to spare, he's going to end up kind of KOing himself before the opponent even has a chance to really do a lot of that health to him. Or that little bit of damage that you take from those supers, which was actually a lot in the past, would be significant enough to make it so the opponent only has to hit you 1 time to KO you, or only 2 times to KO you instead of 3 times. That sort of thing makes a really big difference. So they lowered the amount of damage that Tien takes when he is the only character left on the screen. If he's your anchor and he's the only one around, he takes less damage from his supers now. Let's quickly turn off health regeneration in training mode so we can see the damage we're actually taking here. His level 1, let's see how much that is. It's very little. I think it's like 300 damage. What about his level 3? How much does he take from this? About the same. It's very, very little damage he's taking from this super. And even when he shotguns the whole thing away, how much does he take? Not that much. It gets a little bigger on each one, just like before, but before it was like he would drain his entire health bar to KO someone with a few shotgun blasts. Now it's not that much. You really don't have to worry about tossing it out, especially if you're in Spark. Because look at how much damage he takes for doing supers in Spark. He doesn't. This was the main drawback of having Tien anchor in the past, and now it's just not even an issue. He takes so little damage normally, and when he's in Spark, he takes literally nothing at all. Even if he continues to shotgun blast, the damage barely increases from where it was, which starts out at nothing for the first blast. Ultimately, I think these changes are going to make a serious impact on his ability to be a viable anchor, and I really think he is. This character is scary already. He has a super good cross-up. He has an okay overhead, which now is actually more safe on block than before. It's only -2 in the air. He has a command grab. Of course, he has access to all the normal stuff like an overhead, cross-up, same side super dash, dragon rush, and he pretty much always gets a sliding knockdown. Also, this isn't new to this patch specifically, but he also gets pretty good corner damage now. And he pretty much always retains a sliding knockdown, even when he uses his smash up earlier in a combo. I don't think Tien's ever been considered the most flashy character, and I understand why he hasn't been the most interesting character to play or watch, but I think there's something really cool about a character that's just this generally solid and just plays the game on a basic level really well. So I'm really excited about these changes, and I'm actually interested in trying them out myself. Oh, but there's one more thing. Chaozu actually just does mad damage now. So in the past, I think Chaozu did like 2100 damage. What about now? He does about 2600 now, which is pretty insane. Chaozu actually does like a full Spirit Bomb's worth of damage now. So if you're ever in a position where you're worried about maybe using the shotgun and taking any health off your character, Chaozu is there for you. He can just take all of his health off of himself and do a really clean 2600 damage to the opponent, which is, I believe, more damage than 2 shotgun blasts were before, and you don't have to take any of the damage that Tien was going to take. And if you have to use the shotgun, it doesn't do as much as it used to. So yeah, overall, I'm really excited about the Tien changes. I think he's just way more solid now. The quality of life buffs are super good and super clean. I think he's going to have a really consistent time comboing, a really consistent time dealing with tools in neutral when he needs to. I think he's going to have a really consistent, easy time doing things like sniping super dash in the air now, and just converting things like ki blasts into either pressure or combos. All these changes are amazing. Also, I want to really quickly talk about some of the new things you can do with his buffs. Since his overhead has such little recovery now, if you use it as a mix-up tool and call an assist, you can actually go for a 50-50 afterwards, similarly to how a lot of other characters might do a super dash into assist and land and go low, or super dash into an assist and air dash for an overhead. You have the same kind of option with his overhead now, as long as you call an assist. You can true block string with it as long as you get your timing right. And if you use an assist that doesn't push back that much, you can even get this to work mid-screen with his low, where with a lot of other characters, with pretty much every character, if you were to go for a super dash into an assist, you won't have the option of doing that. They'll get pushed back a little too far for you to actually be able to go for the low option afterwards. You'll have to do a slower medium attack instead, which is still okay, right? It's still okay. But having this as a high-low option mid-screen is really nice. If they happen to take the hit, you're just going to combo into super and take the damage that way. And then pair this kind of thing with his already really fast cross-up, or a Dragon Rush, or overhead, or command grab or something, and I think there's something really special here. Also, because the Dodonray buff seems really, really good, and it is really good, I want to quickly talk about some of your options to deal with it. And the first thing that comes to mind is just Reflect It. If he cancels into a Vanish as soon as he goes for it, which is probably what he's going to do, and you happen to reflect in time, you can get a punish if you cancel into a Ki Blast. Or whatever your longest range attack would be. Some characters with really huge attacks, like Gogeta Crouch Medium, or Nappa 5H or something like that, should be able to get a full, really good combo without needing to vanish or anything like that. Obviously, the damage isn't amazing if... Oh boy, I would have dropped that in the previous patch. Even if you don't get the combo here, you're still going to get them away from you. He's still going to waste a bar. The other thing you can do, if you can get over as a guess, is just to super dash. As long as you can get over it, you should be fine. Try to convert with an assist so you can actually get a full combo, however you want to do that. I don't want to turn this into a full Tien guide, but I do hope this gave you guys some things to think about so that you can either be more excited to play as him, or at the very least be able to fight against him a little bit better. I do think we're going to see a lot more Tiens very soon in the game. I think I'm going to be playing him occasionally from now on too. I've loved playing this character in Season 1, and I really like all the buffs he's had since then. On the channel, I'm going to be covering a lot of characters that got big changes in the recent 3.5 patch. We've already covered Blue Vegeta, and we had a full Master Roshi breakdown kind of guide as well. So if any of that stuff interests you, check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more stuff on the way soon. Also, I'm streaming super regularly right now that the patch dropped over on Twitch. Be sure to head over there and give that a look as well. We'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.